Mary Lou McDonald, you're back out here in Brussels. The deal was agreed between the British and the EU side. Why are you back here lobbying the EU?
Well, I'm actually receiving an award this evening on behalf of Politico. I'm the selected Irish person for the leadership class of 2019, so I'm very pleased to receive that. And while I'm here, I'm meeting with a number of people to discuss the deal that is done. You're quite correct to say that this is the deal. This is what Brexit looks like. It is the least worst option, and it certainly mitigates some of the worst aspects of Brexit for the island of Ireland. But there is still work to be done, and there are still concerns, not least around citizens' rights and the protection of them. So there's still a conversation to be had. The withdrawal agreement, of course, has attracted the support of wide sections of Irish society, and in the north very significantly the business community, the farmers, academia, the community sector, the trade unions. All of us know that we have always needed a bespoke solution for the island of Ireland, and certainly this agreement goes a good deal of the way to the protections that we require. It is the deal, there is no other deal, and then in the course of negotiating the future relationship, the issue of citizens' rights has to be secured, and that's what I'm telling the likes of Guy Verhofstadt, who's the European Parliament lead negotiator, and others.
Do you get any sense from the EU side that they may be prepared to open things up again? Because of course everyone is watching the vote we've got coming up in Westminster, where things obviously look at the moment like the Prime Minister is going to lose that vote. She herself has said, and Donald Tusk has also indicated from the EU side, that leaves the potential of opening up the whole negotiations again. Are you fearful of that happening? Is that part of the reason you're here?
There is no sense that this negotiation will be reopened. This is the deal. And I think as people arrive at their decision and as votes are taken, there needs to be clarity that this is the deal. And from an Irish perspective, this is the minimum, the base minimum that's required to protect our island. But this is it. It's not to be wished away. People can have imaginary dialogues and imaginary negotiations. This deal has been arrived at after long, tough talking, and this is now what Brexit looks like. So the decision now is to accept this or to take all bets off the table, and that would be a very, very dangerous scenario for Ireland, for Britain itself. And just to say, if there is anyone amongst the unionist community who imagines that a crash Brexit would be a good thing to maintain the union, I would urge them to think again, and to think long and to think hard on that.
You'd obviously like then Theresa May to win that vote in Westminster. What would be your advice to her then to get it over the line? Because she looks like she has an awful uphill battle ahead of her at the moment.
Look, it's not for me to give advice to Theresa May, that's not my place. My job and our job is to protect the rights of people living on the island of Ireland. And whatever advice that we may give to our friends in Britain, they will arrive at their own decisions. But it needs to be fully understood. This is the deal. This is the deal. There's no appetite, there's no question of reopening it. The talking has been done, the arguments have been made, and the deal has been landed on. And it is the least worst option. It gives the bottom line protections that the island of Ireland needs. And I think for all of us, anyone who would argue against that, anybody who would imagine that by ditching the backstop that you somehow protect a farmer in Fermanagh or businesses in Ballymena, I would suggest that that's not clear thinking. In fact, to argue very recklessly against this deal, because this is what Brexit now looks like, puts in jeopardy jobs, people's livelihoods, people's entitlements as citizens right across the island, but most particularly in the north.
If this deal doesn't go through, some have suggested that there could be the option that could be opened up, or one of the options could be Brexit being cancelled altogether. Your party, not least Martina Anderson, have campaigned very strongly for Remain. Would you not like to see that back on the table?
Well, look, there is no good Brexit. I mean, there's no happy ever after to the Brexit story. And the decision of the people of the north of Ireland was to remain. Ireland is for remaining. The decision taken on the island of Britain, particularly in England, was different. And of course we have to respect the democratic processes in other countries and not to trespass on that. But what we do ask is that people in Britain, people in England in particular, respect the rights of Ireland, respect the democratic verdict in the north of Ireland, but also the fact that Brexit is a real and imminent threat to our peace process, to our economy and to our society. I don't think any fair-minded person in Britain wants to inflict that damage on us. So for us, in this withdrawal agreement, this backstop, this Irish protocol gives us the bottom line protections that we require. And it's not for me to give advice, but if I were to make an ask of people right across British politics, I would ask you to reflect very carefully, very, very carefully, and not to inflict damage on Ireland.
Okay, just very finally, I'd like to ask what your kind of contingency plans are then, because the way things look, she's not going to win that vote. How are you planning, and what's your next step if this vote doesn't go through? Well,
look, the deal is the deal. There isn't a plan B, and we believe strongly, and we will continue to work very closely with the Irish government, with partners here in Europe, with people in British politics to protect Irish interests. That's our job. It's not our job or our call to make decisions for Britain. That would be entirely improper. But it is our business to protect our country, and we will do everything that is required to ensure that that is the case. But we don't want to run ahead of ourselves either. A deal has been arrived at. And people, as they decide what they will do next, need to reflect, I think, very, very carefully, not to act recklessly or with a short-term view. This is long-term stuff. This is high-stakes politics. And for us in Ireland, we have said very simply from the word go that we insist, whatever the decisions of our neighbours in the neighbouring island, that our peace process and our economy are protected. Brexit is a disaster for all of these. So the least we expect, whatever your decision on in Britain is, that we don't become the collateral damage in your Brexit process.